The immutability of the self is master of the perturbations which are constantly recognized by it. And here we've got the two factors once again. We've got the stream of life and we've got the transition. This is what we're constantly engaged with as spiritual practitioners, as enlightenment practitioners. This is what the Yoga Sutras is about. The self is the constant, it's immutable. The perturbations are the vrittis. These are the vortices of the mind-heart which suck awareness into it. These were addressed right at the beginning of Book 1. Sutra 2 tells us that enlightenment practice is when there is no sucking in to the vortices of the mind-heart. As spiritual practitioners, we are like master mariners, master navigators. We navigate through these vortices. We need to know where they all are. And we're always navigating towards the immutable self. This is what gives us transcendence of our moods, of these vortices. If we're not in samadhi, if we're not centered in this self, in the unchanging self, then we should be moving towards it. Sutra 19 tells us it cannot illuminate itself as a knowable object. So I think we have to assume here that, since this follows on from Sutra 18, it's the immutability of the self that's being referred to. Now let's not get philosophical about this. Why is Patanjali telling us this? Is it just some abstruse bit of metaphysics? The self cannot illuminate itself because it is illumination. So it cannot illuminate itself any more than a television set can watch its own programs. The television is the constant, it's what doesn't change, and all the dramas that come on it are the vrittis of the mind which suck us in. But the television set is quite indifferent to what is being shown on it. It's quite dispassionate. So why is Patanjali telling us this? Because this is a way of testing ourselves. We might be in a very good mood. We might be in what we believe is a higher state of consciousness. We might even have touched some kind of bliss and we feel this is it. You cannot know the self. It is the self that is knowing. So this Sutra 19 is a check. It's a check to the more devious ruses of the ego. If you think you've got it, and are perhaps giving yourself a little pat on the back, maybe thinking of becoming a guru, then be careful. Because we're not talking about higher states of consciousness here. These are objects. Higher states of consciousness are objects. It doesn't matter how intense they are, how close to the divine you feel. Samadhi is about ordinary consciousness, ordinary awareness, which is unchanging. It's immutable. You don't get higher states of it. It's the one thing. It's everyday consciousness. It's not a special kind of consciousness. It's the consciousness, it's the awareness by which you're hearing this. That awareness doesn't change. It doesn't matter what it's hearing. The mind responds to what it's hearing, but the awareness of what you're hearing, or the awareness by which you hear, is always the same quality. And it's from this perspective, from the immutable self, that we learn to recognize all these vortices, all these vrittis, which want to pull us away from samadhi. So we steer around them. And we're very careful when we think we've been successful, because this process is ongoing. And the next few sutras will point this out.